Hello Year 7s, I thought I would show you how to work through making the tutorial using a video. I'm going to run through the 3 different pages that you have to run through to get yourself a lighter Scratch game, and then we'll talk about how you might be able to make your game have 2 parts. So I will first do page 1, then I'll be doing page 2, and then finally I'll be doing page 3. If you've already done page 1 or 2 and you want to skip ahead, look in the description for times. Okay, let me start. The first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that you are logged into your Scratch account. If you're not logged in, it will not save. So you know you're logged in if you can see your name in the corner there. Okay. Let's run through this game. I've got myself a blank screen. There's nothing on there. Okay. There's no code. This is a new game. To make sure you can do that, just go File and then New, and you'll get yourself a new project. So now this is completely new. So the first thing on our list is it says put your cursor in the box that says Untitled and name the program Lighter Maths Game. So I'm going to put my mouse over here. I'm going to name this Lighter Maths Game. Okay. So I've just done this step, so I tick that off, so I know I'm done that. Next step, it says click outside of the box. So I'm going to just click outside the box. And so that step is done there now. Next step, click on events in the menu. So events is this yellow button there, okay, on the left hand side. And then, so I've done that. Then it says drag the when flagged click. So I'm dragging this icon onto my screen. Done. Now click on the looks in the menu. So looks is this one here that's purple. So I've clicked that. And then it says drag the switch costume to command to the programming space and connect it to the flag command. So the switch costume to connect it to the flag command. Tick. Done. Okay. Next step, it says click on the costumes tab. The costumes tab is this one over here. So click over there. Done. Click on the sprite icon. Now when you see the sprite icon, that's this icon over here. So in my game, that would be this one over here. As soon as I click on that, you should be able to choose another sprite. I'm going to pick this one here. Okay. Once I've picked that, it should show up. Good. So I've clicked on the sprite icon. I've chosen the costume for my sprite. Next step, it says title the costume in the space provided. So that is somewhere over here. So at the moment this is called Abby B. I'm going to call it character. So I'm just giving it a name. So I've done that step. Now it says click back on the code tab next to costumes. So I'm going to go back to code. And I'm done there. Next step, it says click on the looks in the menu. So I need to go to looks, that's the purple one. So I've done that. Then it says drag the switch backdrop to command to the programming space and connect it to the flag command. So I'm looking for the switch backdrop to, yep, I've got that. And then I've dragged it in. So I've just done that. Next step, it says click on the costume tab. So the costume tab is this one over here. I click on that. Now it says click on the background tab. Now the background tab is this tab over here. So I need something on the far right hand side. That's why I've drawn an arrow there for you. Okay. So I'm going to click on this one here. Okay. Now once I've clicked on that tab, so I've done that, I've done that. Now it says click on the picture icon and select a backdrop. So the picture icon is that icon there in the bottom. So that is this one here. Okay. And the thing I'm going to choose is this bedroom one, because that was the one that they used. Okay. So I've done that. Then step 4 says click on the text to backdrop by selecting the T icon, and then there's a little arrow that shows you a little T. So there should be a little T button that you can press. So I've done that. Now you need to click on the background and type the text. So wherever you click is where you're going to type. Okay. So I'm going to click there, and the thing that I'm going to write is type 1 to play add fractions, and type 2 to play add decimals. Okay, as you can see, that has run over the other line, so this word is too long, so I'm going to press the enter button there so that it all fits in there, and I'm going to change the color to something darker so that someone can read that. Okay, so now I've just done this step that I added in here. Now let's go to step 5. Click back on the code tab next to backgrounds. So I'm going to click back on code. Okay. So that's done. Then it says click on the sprite icon in the bottom right hand of your screen under the stage. So I need to click back on my sprite. So that little button here is this one here. And now I've got my code again. Okay. That is page 1 done. I'm now moving on to page 2. On page 2, this is what you'll see. We start with defining variables. It says click on the variables menu. So go to the variables menu, click. So I've done that step. Click on the make a variable. So I'm going to go make a variable. Type in the name of your variable. So this is just a practice one. Let's type anything. Let's call it unicorn. Okay. This is just to see what it does. So the minute I typed in unicorn, you should see that unicorn has appeared here, and it's also shown up on my game. So that's how I know I've made a variable. Okay. So this step is done there. Now it says repeat steps 1 and 2, making variables called numerator 1, numerator 2, denominator 1, denominator 2, sum and difference. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this step by step. So remember, you click in here, then the first variable they wanted was numerator 1. So I'm going to type that in. Numerator, oh, let me spell that right. Numerator 1. I click OK. So I've done numerator 1. The next one they wanted was numerator 2. So I go make a variable numerator 2. Click OK. I've done that. Then I need denominator 1. So make a variable denominator 1. Click OK. Then there's denominator 2. That's my next one. Make a variable denominator 2. Okay. Then I need a sum button. So I'll make a variable sum. And then finally I need a difference variable. So I'm going to make a variable called difference. Now all of these things that you've just made are places where the computer is going to store numbers or values for these things. So I'm going to get the user to type in a number which is then going to be stored in numerator 1. So if I say that my fraction is going to be 1 over 2 as my first fraction, then I want to set numerator 1 to be 1 and denominator 1 to be a 2, because that's 1/2, 1 over 2. Anyway, I've now done step 3, so I can tick that. Next it says drag the set to 0 block to the program space and use the down arrow to the variable you want. So the set variable to block, that's this one here, so this one, and then they say drag the and then use the drop down arrow to set it to the variable you want. Okay. Now you're going to repeat all of these steps to make sure that you can see what we've got over here. So these two steps make you do what you can see over here. So I need to go numerator 1 to 0. Then I need another one that sets denominator 1 to 0. So that's that one. So I've done that one, I've done that one. Next it says numerator 2. So I'm going to click on this one and make that numerator 2. Then I need to do denominator 2. So set denominator 2. So that's all done. Then set the sum to 0. So where's my sum? Set sum to 0. And then set difference to 0. Okay. So now I've done those two things. So my code now looks the same as their code that they've got there. What you're doing here is you're setting all of these variables to be 0 when you click the flag button, so that when you click start, your program resets. Okay? So that you don't have some values from your old program affecting your new program. Let's move on. Click on events in the menu. Okay, so events is the yellow one. Tick. Drag the when key is pressed block to the programming space. So when key is pressed, that's this one here. So I've done that. Click on the down arrow and change the key to 1. So I'm going to click on the down arrow, change the key to 1. Good. So now it reads when 1 is pressed. Okay. So that's all done. Okay. Finally, let's finish off this page. It says click on the sensing menu. So sensing is this blue one here. Okay. So I've done that. Drag the ask then wait block to the programming space. So ask and wait. So this one here. Done. Next step, it says type what is the numerator of your first fraction in the white space. So I'm going to type in this space here, what is the numerator 1? And that's the question that the game is going to ask me. Okay, so I've done that. Then it says click on the variables in the menu. So that's variables, that's this one here, it's orange. It says drag the set to 0 block to the programming space. So set to 0, so I'm dragging that block in there, so that's done now. Then it says use the arrow to change the variable to numerator 1. So I need to change this variable to numerator 1. So I've done that. Click on the Sensing tab and drag the answer block to the 0 space in the variable block. So I'm going to go to Sensing, and then I have to drag this block here, this answer block, in there. So let's see what we've just done there. What's going to happen is the program's going to ask you what is the numerator, and then it's going to set numerator 1 to whatever answer you put in there. That's how you read that code. Okay. Now it says repeat steps 1 to 7 for each of the numerators and denominators of the two fractions. So I need to repeat this where I ask a question and then set the variable to whatever the answer was. So let me go to ask the next question. So what's the next question I'm going to ask? Well, I want the user to tell me what is denominator 1. So they have to tell me what the denominator is. And then I need to go to variables and I need to set the denominator 1 to be whatever the answer is. So go back to sensing and drag the answer block in there. Okay. Now you need to do that for all of these things over here. Okay. So, have I done it for numerator 1? Yes, I have. Have I done it for denominator 1? Yes, I have. I need to do it for numerator 2 and denominator 2. Okay, I'm going to give you a hint. If you right click and click duplicate, you can actually just copy the code there. So that's a little hint for you. Now this time, instead of asking for denominator 1, I should be asking for, what did they say here? They said I need to ask for numerator 2. So what is numerator 2? Then I must set numerator 2 to be the answer. And then finally, I must ask them what is denominator 2, and click wait, and then set denominator 2 to be the answer. Okay, so we are now done with all of the steps that we need to do page 2. Let's test our game out. So let's see what our game is actually doing at the moment. Is it doing anything useful? So I'm going to click on the flag icon so I can start. When the flag button is clicked, it says here switch costume to costume 1. Oh, but I didn't want costume 1. I wanted it actually to be my character. So I need to go and fix that, don't I? And then also switch backdrop to, oh well, I'm going to call it backdrop 2, which I think is the bedroom backdrop. So let's see if that works now. All of a sudden I have exactly what I need. So testing your program is really good to see if you've got what you need to do. Okay. So once that's done, you can now test your game. The game says to me, type 1 to play add fractions and type 2 to play add decimals. So I'm going to go on my keyboard and press the 1 key. All of a sudden she's asking me, what is numerator 1? That's because look over here, in your code you said when the 1 key was pressed, the computer will ask you what is numerator 1. So look, there she's asking me, what is numerator 1? So I'm going to say, well, I want to add 1 over 2, so that's a half, and 1 over 2. What you'll notice is that these numbers over here have changed to whatever I put them into. So the computer now knows that numerator 1 is 1 and numerator 2 is 1, denominator 1 is 2 and denominator 2 is 2. Okay? So the computer now knows what it's getting into it. If I press the flag key again, it will set everything back to 0. So let me click the flag key. Boom! Everything's been set back to 0. Okay? So that's how you do page 2 of the tutorial. The last page is where your game comes together. Okay. So I'm now on the very last page. Okay. Let's see what it says. From the variables menu, drag the set to something block into the programming space. Okay. So I need to go to variables, set to that one, so I need to drag that on top there. And now, so I've done that first step. Then it says change variable to sum. So I'm going to change variable to, sorry, let me just see how we do this. Set that to sum. So I've done that step now. Then it says click on the operators in the menu. So operators is this green button. So I've clicked on that. Then it says drag the plus block onto the set block. So plus that is this block over here. And I need to put that in there. Okay. Now it says drag the divided by block into the first place and another one into the second space. So do you see there's two little gaps here? I need to drag the little divide sign. So here's my divide sign, here's my other divide sign. Okay. So now you can see what it's doing. It's going to set the sum to be one fraction, because that's 1 over whatever the other fraction is, plus the other fraction. So this is actually doing the sum for you. Okay, I've done that now. Next step, click on the variables in the menu. So I need to go to variables. Okay, so I've done that there. Then it says drag numerator 1 variable, denominator 1 variable, numerator 2 variable, and denominator 2 variable into the operator. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to say, oh well, I want numerator 1 divided by denominator 1 to be added with numerator 2 divided by denominator 2. So now, as you can see, it's going to set the variable that's called sum to the first fraction plus the second fraction. That's what we're going to do there. Okay. So I've done all of those steps. Then it says click on the Sense in menu. So I'm going to click on the Sense in menu. Okay. Click the Ask then Wait block to the programming space. So ask and wait. Add that in there. And what's the question that we need to ask? It says here, type in what is the sum of the two fractions. So I'll need to type this text to what is the sum of the two fractions. From the command control menu, so I need to go to control. It says drag the if then else block. So I need one that says if then and else. So this block here. Okay, so the if then else block, those three blocks there. Okay, so I've dragged that onto my game. Next one, drag the operator equals something equals something and put it in the if statement. So I'm going to go to operators. I need to find the equals one, so this one here, and I need to put it in there. Done. Then it says in the looks menu, drag the say block after the then statement and type in yes you are right. Ah, sorry, I haven't done the, sorry, let me go back to part 12. Drag the operator and put it in the statement, the if statement. Fill it with answer and sum. So you need to put these two variables in there. So if I go to variable, okay, or actually sensing to get the answer. So the computer's going to ask you what is the sum of the two fractions, and then the computer needs to check if the answer equals the sum. So I'll go back to variables and then click on sum. Okay. So obviously if the computer asks you for the answer and you got the right answer, what do you want to do? You want to say yes, you are right. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on, what do we need to do? In the looks menu, in the looks menu, drag the say block after the then statement and then type in you are right. Okay. So in the looks menu, drag the say block and say you are right. So that's if they got the answer wrong. Else, meaning if they did not get the answer right, you probably want to say you are wrong. Okay. And there we go. So that's me doing this step. Do and do. Okay. if you want to tell them what the answer is, then you can do that. I'm not going to do that, but we're basically done with this game. Okay, so I haven't followed it exactly in the last 2 steps, but I just thought this is all done, so let's try and test our game out. Okay. So theirs looks a bit different. You can see here in the code I did something a little bit different here, but don't worry about it. If you want to, you can try and do what they've done there and see what the difference is to investigate for yourself. But your game is working already. So let's see how this game works. I'm going to make this whole thing start from the beginning. So I'm going to click the flag button. And then it says to me, type 1 to add fractions. So when I press the 1 block, do you see how this whole block of code gets activated? Because this block says when the 1 key is pressed. So when I press the 1 key, what should the computer do? It should ask me, what is numerator 1 and wait. So let's see if it does that. I'm going to press the 1 button. It says, what is numerator 1? Oh, well, then I have to put in the answer. So let's say I want to add a half and a half. So this is the sum I want to check. 1/2 plus 1/2. Okay. Let's say I want to make 1/2 and 1/2. The answer is obviously going to be 1. That's the final answer. But let's see if I can play this game. What is numerator 1? Well, the numerator of the first fraction is 1. So I'm going to type in over here 1 and then click enter. Then the computer asks me, what is denominator 1? Okay, so denominator 1 is that one here. So the denominator 1 was 2. Let's put that in. Okay. Then it asks me, what is numerator 2? So numerator 2 is this one. That was just 1. What was denominator 2? Oh, well, that's just 2. So I'll put everything in. Now the code is asking me, what is the sum of the 2 fractions? So she's asking me, what is the sum of the 2 fractions? I'm over here in the code. So now I have to put my answer. So what is the right answer? A half plus a half would give me 1. So let me put that in. And she said, oh, you're right. Oh, good. So look how nice that was. Let's imagine I got that wrong. So let's start all over again. I'll press 1. Let's do fraction. Numerator 1 was 1. Denominator 1 was 2. Plus 1 over 2. And let's put in the wrong answer. So let's put in 0.5. So is this going to be wrong? Yeah, she told me that I was wrong. So you've just worked your way through making a game. Okay. When the person presses 1, they will be playing add fractions. How would you get this to work if the person was playing 2 to add decimals? Let's have a look. What might you do? Look, what did we do to get all of this started? Oh, well, we typed in, we used that block there. So when I press 2, instead of running this code, I want to play another one where instead of them asking me for fractions, they just ask me to add decimals. So try and think, if you can make a second game out of this. You probably want to start with this block here. And instead of saying when 1 is pressed, you want to say when the number 2 is pressed. So see if you can make your own game. Thanks for that.